name is Tina, and welcome to the G Sport Hub. And welcome back to Playoff Check, because it has been a while since I've done Playoff Check, because it has been a while since we had the playoffs, obviously. So without further ado, let's just jump into this video. What is Playoff Check? This is basically my show where I go through what happens in the LJL playoffs. I'm gonna have 4 episodes, 3 and an extra. This is the first time when I go through what happens in the first round. I'm also gonna have an episode next week when I go through the 2 lower bracket matches and the 1 upper bracket finals. And I'm gonna do 1 more about the lower bracket matches, and there's gonna be an extra after the finals, which is probably just mostly gonna be about the team who won and what you should know about that team. So those episodes are gonna come, but first of all, the first round. We say goodbye to 2 of our teams who are V3 and Burning Core, as they're out of the playoffs and can't make Worlds anymore. V3 is not really a surprise. Burning Core could have made it. I'm gonna talk about them whenever the match comes. Let me just have a little bit of what happened throughout the season kind of thing, because oh boy, a lot has happened in summer. First of all, we only had a single round robin, so the standing can be misleading, and it was only for seeding. Every single team made playoffs, so that's why you may see some of these one-sided matches. But now we are finally in playoffs. The stakes could not be higher. And DFM, that's the big question. What's up with DFM? Even for international fans, I think you heard about the DFM drama. If you want to know about it more, I made a short 40-minute long video summary. Yes, I tried to summarize it in short. That's how it ended up being 40 minutes. Basically, the FM top laner Tolstu, who was at MSI, you could see him play. He was experiencing constant bullying from the coaches Kazu and Saros. He was actually afraid of his life, so he ran away from the gaming house, and as far as I know, has not returned ever since then. After this, renowned coaches Kazu and Saros were fired, and a lot of other things happened. Lawyers are involved. But something that's actually maybe not telling much to casual fans, this all happened on July 8th. And why that's important is because the roster lock was July 1st. Only 1 week earlier, DFM logged in their roster, which means they are unable to change it. And also worth to mention, LJL teams can sign their whole academy teams. Some other teams do sign their whole academy team, some don't. DFM did not do this, only Milan from their academy team is signed. I would assume it's monetarily, but I really don't know. DFM for sure not had their academy team signed, that's for sure. First of all, I'm not really sure what's gonna happen leading into Worlds. We have seen a very similar situation with Danny in the LCS, even though it was kind of different because at that time we didn't really know more about the coaching stuff. And now the whole bullying the coaching stuff is all public, with DFM CEO even took a 50% pay cut. So I'm not really sure if LJL would allow any roster change with this special occasion. And I have absolutely no idea what happens if they qualify to Worlds, but maybe it's not a problem. Something that I don't really think many people know. Yutapon is a top laner. He started as a top laner. He played top lane for quite a lot of times. He's still playing top lane 50% of the time in solo queue. He said multiple times that he likes top lane and AD carry as well, but he said he prefers AD carry on stage and he really does not want to play top lane. Just so you know, he's not like some random role swap top laner. There were some questions how big of a nerf it is to the FM, and I'm gonna get right now DFM versus CGA. Because of the single round robin and this happening quite at the end, we haven't really seen DFM against someone like SAG, who is basically our top team right now. Or maybe not, we're gonna see that soon as well. Anyways, against CGA, DFM did not look nerfed at all. It was a very quick match, I have to say. And even if it was only CGA, it shows us that DFM can play. So even if they're not gonna win the split, at least I think it should be competitive, and they can also just win the split because that's 100% on the table. All the 3 games that they played averaged 26 minutes of game time, so yep, they were very dominant. Game 1, we could see Steel's Poppy, which was already famous last year. His coach and teammates saying things like, Poppy played Steel well, and Harp said, thanks for carrying me, Abby, Poppy, Yaharong, and Yutapon. Going into the mid-game, Yutapon's Rumble came online as well, and from there on, after a Baron and successful teamfight, DFM ended the game in just under 26 minutes. I swear I'm gonna talk about other games in more details. these are gonna be fast. Game 2 wasn't too different. DFM were playing aggressively from level 1, which aggressiveness granted them the first blood just a little later in about 2v2, and that didn't stop there. Milan continued getting kills from proactive trades. While this happened though, on the top lane, Yutapon activated his inner boost, and after 3 deaths, he realized he actually has to go down the bout pass from there on. I'm not even kidding, he said that himself.
一回死んだんで、そういう感じでいこうかなって思って、そういう感じでやらせていただきましたけど、まあ割とうまくいったんで、よかったなって思います。はい。
And without joking, he actually played it well. He was taking down the turrets around the map while Milan was getting fed on Zaya. And when the team got through the laning phase at around 18 minutes, they already gained more than 5,000 gold lead. This match wasn't too long either. Yutapon did his job, just kept pushing. The team took everything they could, and just after a quick reset, they pushed the base in and ended the game just under 25 minutes. And game 3 started a tiny bit slower, but emphasis on tiny and only started. Actually, it was CGA who got the first bout on the top lane, and they even had a kind of good gank in the mid lane, but these small advantages quickly went away as DFM woke up and chose violence. Harp was playing Blitzcrank here, and he even got an MVP for this series. He had such an amazing hooks, and with Arya also dominating his lane, even though there were some back and forth fights, these continued for a few more minutes. At 25 minutes though, DFM could finally convincingly win a fight, and shortly after, literally the next team fight, they just immediately ended the game. With that though, CJ is not out yet, they're gonna have another chance in the lower bracket. Now, SAG versus Fennel. But Fennel was getting so much better throughout the split, so these are also contender teams in my opinion. And oh boy, it was a long series with a lot of interesting picks, and I don't really want to go through all of them super in details. These are 5 games. We should watch this match. We may even see our finalists, who know. Game 1 started slow, but just looking at the picks, we already know we were in for a treat, because even though the hosts were winning the first team fight of the game, until Tana's top lane Vladimir took over, and yeah, we could see here how the match will go after this. While the Hawks did win some fights, the Vladimir was just unstoppable, and Fennel was able to win all major team fights in the mid game. Tana's Vladimir even got a quadra kill, almost a pentakill if it wasn't for Soul's Zeri. This guy is insane with the top lane, actually the only Korean top laner we have right now in the league. But he's also very sus because he's speaking fluent Japanese.
正直私もここまでできるだと考えてなかったけど、なんかアニメ、なんか昔兄さんがアニメ一緒に見て、あの時からアニメ見たけど、それがなんか10年くらい見たからなんかこうなりました。
This is his first year in Japan, but even in his very first LJL interview, he was already speaking fluent Japanese. So yeah, I love these brothers. Not sure if they can meet in these playoffs. Probably if they both win their matches, we're gonna have a brothers battle, but that's lower bracket. We're gonna talk about lower bracket at the end of this video. Now, game 2, as with kinda all the games, it started back and forth. Both of these teams were very close in skill, as it shows as well here. However, some mistakes from Hachamecha led the Hawks to gain advantages as the game went on, and multiple times. Hachamecha didn't have the greatest game of his life, if I'm being honest. And Fennel just didn't really have real damage dealers, so the Hawks could easily take 2 Barons and patiently finishing off the game under 29 minutes. Game 3, again back and forth, you know the drill. Both junglers are going for objectives, but unfortunately for Fennel, at 50 minutes, they found a bad fight, and they could never recover from that. The Hawks were controlling the map, and Marble's Kaisa became way too fat for anyone to stop her. After that, similar story, take the Baron, push the lanes into the inhibitor, but they didn't even need the second Baron like in the last game, they just ended it with the same buff. 2-1 for the Hawks. Fennel was on the verge of death. They pulled out their ace card, recaps mid Ziggs. Ziggs is actually a pretty good Azir counter. APA in the LCS has been playing Ziggs basically any opportunity he could. Despite all that, SIG actually started the game well, winning the first team fight right away. It was only a minute or so later when Fennel fought back and took over the gold lead. There weren't many side lane 1v1s or caught out moments. Most kills happened in a full 5v5 situation, which honestly were all over the place, but Fennel always keeping at least 1,000 of a gold lead. The JRAM never stopped, but Fennel was able to extend their slight gold lead, and late game 6 just melted down the turrets in Fennel's last push. And game 5, unfortunately it wasn't that close. The Hawks were winning basically all lanes at 8 minutes, and despite a very messy dragon fight from them that almost gave the lead over to Fennel, slowly the Hawks were getting it back, always just picking up a few kills in team fights, which led to an easy Baron for them, then an inhibitor into a free Dragon Soul, and just a march into their series victory. Now, you may have noticed that I was talking about the upper bracket and there is no Sengoku Gaming. So what happened to Sengoku Gaming? They are in the low bracket. The 5th place, so they're just barely there. It's not like they're lost or something. A lot of things happened to them as well. First of all, at the start of the year, this is back in January, Paz announced that he's gonna retire from pro playing, and his replacement is gonna be Eguto, who is a PUBG player turned into League of Legends player. He was about to start, but just as spring started, apparently Eguto was not really ready for play, and that's why Paz came back to playing. Now, Sengoku lost the finals. You know, DFM was the one who went to the MSI. Summer came and huge changes. Not only that Eguto actually started to start for Sengoku, their jungler once also changed, which was a really big surprise. Once was one of the household junglers in Japan. He even has LJL residency for like a year or two. So it was very surprising, but his replacement Nasty was also a really good Japanese player. But playoffs came actually like a week before playoffs, and everything changes, which is basically changing back. Paz returned to the top lane, but was also returned to the jungle position. So now we have this team who was supposed to be the main team, but then it wasn't supposed to be the main team because Paz wasn't supposed to be there. But this is basically what everyone calls the main team. And something that has been brought up a few times during this year, Reaper was not present for most of the summon split. There was a picture I think posted by either MNS or Berserker, and on that picture in Los Angeles there was Reaper. He was still the coach, at least he was still set to be the coach for Sengoku Gaming during this period, and it was like a week ago when he posted on Twitter that he's on the airplane going to Japan again. I'm gonna be honest, because of this new format that basically the regular season doesn't matter as much, maybe it's not the worst idea to just chill during the regular split, and now that playoff is here, full on blast. Maybe this would happen, maybe this is just my speculations, just my mind. I don't know if this is what happened, I don't know why Reaper was in LA, but we are in playoffs now. Reaper is here, the full main team is here, and they were playing against V3 in the first game. It basically says nothing. Game 1 and Game 3 were quick stomps. Game 1, V3 had some good moments, but they were super over-aggressive, and it shows why they were winningless the whole year. It just feels bad that they were matched against Sengoku, even though maybe other teams wouldn't have been that different either. And similar in Game 3, Sengoku just leading from the start to finish, even going as far as fighting behind turrets. But I wanna talk about Game 2 a little bit, because as weird as it sounds, Game 2 was somewhat of a close game. I have to say though, Sengoku was definitely a part of it. It was not a clean game from them, but credit where credit is due. Even with all that being said, V3 was over aggressive again. Even from Ace, who was supposed to be the veteran voice. I talked about their history in a previous video once. They seems like they want to keep this old Japanese team, but I talked a lot more about them in that video, so watch if you're interested. At the moment, I have no idea what's gonna happen to them next year, but for now, we had to say goodbye. Oh, and also, Sengoku was kind of trolling.
1경기 경기를 보고 이 경기도 조금 더 재밌고 공격적으로 게임을 하면 좋겠다라는 생각을 해서
They just wanted to play a fun draft, so who can fault them? Okay, the last match. I don't have a voice anymore! During this match, you may be wondering if this is League of Legends or basketball because the amounts of throws that happened. Game 1 started with Burning Core getting the lead with a nice bot trade and and that's it. There weren't anything big happening until 20 minutes when Burning Core finally convincingly won a team fight and Yui's Kaisa came online and they could just start taking threats and push their gold lead. Not the fastest game, but eventually after a big team fight, all good, Burning Core in the lead. And this is where the throws start to happen. Game 2 started with Axis first blood, and they even won a massive team fight at Drake later. Things were looking good for them until they started Baron. You probably expect where this is going. Even if they took Baron, they almost got aced, only Megumin surviving, with him getting caught out shortly after too. No Baron buff remaining. Burning Core took over the lead and wiped out Axis, from which they could not recover. Axis had to reverse sweep if they wanted to keep their world's dreams alive. And Game 3 was a pretty good start for one. Ricky, their rookie top laner, started with an incredible 1v2 in the top lane that cemented Axis' lead in the early game. Shortly after, followed by a triple for LeBlanc, Axis looked angry. It looked like they're gonna have a perfect game, until Dice was able to get at least one kill taking down LeBlanc, but it was way too late and way too little. The fight was still massively won by Axis. They took their time, didn't want to risk it against the match point. They went slowly for the Dragon Soul before finally, under 26 minutes, they finished the game. Game 4 was an extremely long game, but at least Burning Core gave back the favor from Game 2. There has been kills here and there, but Burning Core was the one getting most of them, with their mid Syndra getting ahead. But their big moment was for them at 20 minutes, when they almost aced Axis and were able to push into inner turrets. With 5,000 gold lead, they tried twice to contest the Baron, but always retreated, and this may have been their demise, as for the third time it was Axis who was trying to do the same thing. But this time from 5,000 behind, they actually won the fight, almost acing Burning Core this time and getting the Baron for themselves. What a turnaround! The fight from there on looked the same, Axis slowly winning back the lead, and it took almost another 20 minutes and another successful Baron fight into Baron to solidify their lead, but eventually they finally won, giving us silver scrapes. And then Game 5, are you ready? Because it's gonna be back and forth. Get ready for the roller coaster. I think the only way I can truly convey this game is with famous streamer Takaya's Special Reaction, who is a massive Axis fan and has been co-streaming these games. Axis had a good laning phase with Valkyrie's Zeri getting fed. Definitely something you wanna see. This until Axis went into a narrow alley against an Ornn with ultimate up and an Aphelios with ultimate up having purple and blue guns. Why? Easy Baron for Burning Core, and they took over the lead as well. But the throws are not stopping, don't worry, because they didn't take long. With Aino's amazing flash engage, this was what Axis needed to get the game back into their hands. And then, with the Hextech Soul in their hands, the upcoming fights looked easy for them. And also, Megumin picked up a quadra kill on Azir. So many quadra kills in this round. I wonder if we're gonna see a pentakill in these playoffs. Axis finally completed the reverse sweep, knocking out Burning Core, and they are advancing to the next round. So then, what's next? I am glad you asked, and I hope you're gonna watch LJL because it's gonna happen from Friday to Sunday. On Friday, it's gonna start with CGA versus Sengoku Gaming. As I said before, it's weird seeing Sengoku in the low bracket, and this may be the real test for them, because CJ was the 4th place team whom they should have taken over, but because DFM had to forfeit one of their matches, CJ was the one who advanced. It's a really weird scenario, looking like a fun match, but if I have to say, I would say Sengoku probably gonna take it. Then on Saturday, we're gonna have Fennel versus Axis, which is really hard to predict because I would say Fennel is gonna win. In my book, Fennel is a finalist team, but it would be a lie if I said that Fennel is a clean team. They definitely is a very volatile team, is probably the best description I can give. So it's gonna be an interesting battle. I would still say Final is gonna win this, but who knows how far the Axis Miracle Run goes. Finally, we can see DFM versus the Hawks. This is the first time we're gonna see the new DFM lineup goes against SAG. A lot of people after the DFM drama said that, oh, this is just gonna be a free ticket for the Hawks. So let's just see how free it is. Definitely could be the finals preview. I would not be surprised if DFM and Hawks are gonna be the ones in the finals, which is gonna be offline, so it's gonna be very hype. But yeah, this is all in the future. We have to see. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, make sure to give me a like, and more importantly, leave a comment, because apparently that's better for algorithmically. So it's gonna be very interesting. I have no voice left, so this is the end. Thank you for joining in. I'm just gonna drink some honey or something. Maybe so will Loken. That was a joke, because Loken Sengoku AD carry is gonna play against Honey. C2 AD carry. That was a joke! Bye bye.